We don't hold any criticism. Our listeners, you can more than welcome to join in 469-759-7797 if you'd like to join in on the conversation. But more specifically, we're going to just throw some topics out. This topic being the current state police and community relations.
Big time. I think
because right now it's very contentious in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Very contentious. I mean, we got citizens that are forming groups that are down in the South Dallas area now. They're doing their own patrol. More or less, let's spin it back though. Let's go back to Botham Jean.
The Botham Jean Amber Geiger case. That's something that's been on my mind for a long time. I've had several discussions with several people. I've actually had several arguments with several people.
Tell me this: how did you feel when you first heard about it?
I was fearful for my son because my son is 21 years old, and I'm like, how is he being raised in a society, or how is he coming up at this time when he can't even be safe in his own home? I had a conversation with my son a couple of years ago. He drives a truck, and he had a slight accident where the police was called out. And he said when the black officer was there, he was fine, no issues, he was comfortable. But he said as soon as the white officer showed up, he got nervous. And that concerned me.
Brother Bowens, what about you? As a organizer, you've been down on the front line. You've been a part of a lot of issues over the years here in Dallas and trying to effectively communicate change. How did you feel when you first heard about this case?
I mean, I was angered. I felt, I was at work doing some GOTV efforts for TOP, and I got off work that night after canvassing, ran over there. That we had an immediate protest at the Southside Flats. Mm-hmm. The sad thing about it is it's right there across from the police station.
From the police station.
Jack Evans building. Yeah. And that was the protest that allegedly drove her from her home to her mother's home, which is the reason why she turned herself in. Was it Siegelville?
Well, out of Kaufman. I think it was Kaufman.
Kaufman.
If not mistaken, yeah.
So what was y'all strategy behind that? Why protest at her home?
The thing about it was it was organized by some of the more famous organizers, activists here in the community. Have people like Dominique Alexander, which people are probably fully aware of. There sometimes people are looked at as kind of radical at moments, but I felt like it was more of just a reactionary type of protest, and I don't always agree with those.
Okay,
but in this case, I mean, there was so much emotion behind it. We had to jump out there. People wanted to be out there.
And when we talk about emotion, let's flip it over to Pastor Jacobs, who's the pastor of the Village United Methodist Church. Pastor, as a faith leader, as a community stakeholder, because we're building a new church in DeSoto, what was some of the immediate reaction of the members? How did you feel when you heard about this?
Well, when I heard about it, I was actually angry because I'm just getting tired of hearing the many different shootings from police on African American, particularly African American men. Mm-hmm. So my initial reaction was just anger, and I know the congregation was quite angry because we're just tired of hearing the same thing about young black men being gunned down for no reason. And in this particular case, this young man was in his home, his own home, and you can't even find safety in your own home.
Exactly.
In 2019, exactly. That's scary.
Yeah,
very scary.
Yeah. Brother Derek Jack, as somebody who goes out late night and entertains the masses, how did you feel? Did you think this might have an effect? Do you ever think about your clients or your customers that come out and visit with you? They have a good time and then they're driving home. Do you ever think about?
I mean, number one, I'm black. I might not look black, but I'm black.
You must be Arabian, my friend. You look Arabian.
Right. So you got to keep in mind, this is nothing new to us. This is new to the community that's visualizing now. Like the internet. It's just exposing this. I grew up with this. We grew up with police brutality. Nobody believed it when it was taking place. Other than
Chicago, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, in Illinois, but I mean, just in general, it's been around, man.
This conversation has been going on for generations.
Yeah. So I mean, the only difference is now is you got caught doing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's been going on. Going back to. With slavery, they was snatching people out back in the 60s, going up in their house, lynching people. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why we acting surprised.
Well, I think the surprising part is this, and I'll tell you guys what I was really surprised about in just comparing the two incidents, okay? Botham Jean happening in Dallas. You had a police officer who was clearly in the wrong, didn't follow force continuum protocol, she wasn't even on duty, but at the same time didn't follow logical protocol, right. Okay? Exactly. Now you have this Fort Worth incident. I want to commend Mayor Betsy Price, who has come out and basically scolded the Fort Worth Police Department, who decided to release some photos of a firearm that was on the inside of her home, and now it's being reported from her nephew that they heard someone outside the window. So his aunt went and got her pistol to protect herself,
Right.
which she has every right to do.
Right.
But I like the fact that Mayor Price has stepped up and said, listen, what was y'all's point of fucking releasing that?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say?
Smear campaign.
You're wrong. You're wrong no matter if she had 100 guns in there.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I want to peel back the layers, and we're just not going to have a gripe session, fellas, because I'm going to ask each of you guys, what can we do? What action item can we put into place to really help our community? Pastor, when we started experiencing these shootings early on, maybe about a year and a half ago, we held a town hall meeting with an retired FBI agent, with DeSoto Police Department Chief of Police, and we went as far as trying to educate our congregation on how to handle the cops. I'm fortunate enough to grow up with a police officer in my home. I know cops are trained to live their shift. I know they're trained so that a dead man can't tell their story. So every time I'm pulled over, I have license, insurance, registration already in my hand, ready to go, hands up, with my CHL. But
that is also one of the biggest, scariest things for you and I, because since you and I are both licensed to carry, and we carry, there are times when I see the cops and I'm getting pulled over and I have my gun and I'm legally licensed to carry my gun. Can this be a situation where they can make something up?
Correct, but this is what I also tell you.
He had a gun on him.
What I have noticed is when I declare immediately, I get a whole different police officer. Because at first they come to the window and they're apprehensive. First thing they do, they got their hand on their weapon. They're looking at me. They're asking for the information. I already got the information out. First thing I say is, "How you doing, officer? I just like to let you know I have a firearm in here, or if I have multiple, and I have extra clips and ammunition." Okay, where's your firearm? Right here on my hip. How do you want me to proceed?
Yep.
I let him take control of the situation. And part of the solution is we have to educate our students, our kids, our staff, our community on how to interact, because they already come to these stops apprehensive.
Right.
Now, it's not all on us, and it's not all on them. This is definitely a problem that has to be met at the table. And so I'll go back to Pastor Jacobs. Pastor Jacobs, has there been any incidents that you know of in the community, more or less right there in the DeSoto area, or?
Well, it's funny you asked, because I actually got pulled over about 2 weeks ago in DeSoto.
Yeah.
Dropping by the construction site where we're building the church. I failed to signal when I changed lanes. Now, I don't know about you all, but I hardly signal when I change lane. I guess I have to now. I've never been pulled over for that before.
Don't give them a reason.
Exactly. So I gave him a reason to pull me over. It was kind of getting dark, and so I pulled over. Now, I also have a handgun license, and I keep a gun in the car, in my middle console. So as soon as he pulled me over, now I did the opposite. I just put my hand on the steering wheel. And when the officer came, window was already down, and I told him immediately. I said, I have a firearm in the car. He said, well, where is it? I said, it's right here in the middle of the console. And he said, I said, you want to get it? Because I'm not going to touch it.
Right.
I'm not going to touch it. If you want to get in the car, I will step out. I'll go across the street. You can get in this car, and you are more than welcome to get this firearm. But I'm not moving my hands off the steering wheel until you give me permission to get out, and you get in here and get it. He said, no, that's okay. That's okay. Where's your license? Well, I actually don't keep my license in my pocket. I keep it in the same place where I have my handgun.
Okay.
And so I told him, I said, hey, I'm not going to reach in there because that's where the gun is. That's where the gun is.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're more than welcome to get in there if you want. And he said, no, go ahead and get it. Make a long story short, I ended up working out, but his attitude did change once he realized I had a firearm.
And it has to go with the stigma, though, Pastor. It has to go with the stigma that I watched a couple of videos on social media about the Israelites, the group that goes around and they call all white folks the devil. Okay, and part of what their shtick is, racism is so systematic that even when these guys, the Israelites, when they walked into a handgun range to go legally shoot firearms, the producer of the show, who was a white boy, had to vouch for them by saying, hey, man, these guys are good. Yeah. That's racism. Yeah. What do you mean these guys are good? They legally are there. They showed you all their paperwork for fire, to shoot these firearms. But it is embedded in America. This is America. And this is what people don't like to see. People do not want to see this because they're like, oh, no, we're better than this. Yes, we're better than this, but this is what this country is built on.
That's why people don't want to talk about their past, because it exposes who they really are.
Correct.
And who they have been throughout the history of this country. Yeah. So white people don't want to talk about that. But I do want to ask a question to Franky and the pastor. So, when you guys are saying you notice an immediate change in the attitude of the officers when they pull you over, how are you looking at it that's changed? I notice a change, I notice it.
I see it physically.
No, that's what I'm saying. I notice the change as well, but I take that change as a positive, meaning that many times when officers, we all have friends who are cops. Mm-hmm. You know, you talk to them. Many times when an officer approaches a vehicle, they have no information about this person. But as soon as they realize that this person has a concealed handgun license, in my mind, what I think is like, okay, the first thing I just told this officer is that I'm not any type of violent criminal or anything. So do you see the attitudes changing for the positive or the negative
change? Yeah, I see a positive change.
I see a positive change. Okay. One, because in my head, they like, okay, this ninja here might be trained to pop me, so we ain't going to get into a shootout. But it's like, I follow my rules. And you know, when you got your CHL, they tell you, as soon as you interact with police officers, you have to declare your weapon.
Right.
Well, if I'm following my rules, now you need to follow your rules. Yeah. And being that I understand my CHL rules, they don't know how much I know of my Constitution.
Right.
And so when you get to follow, one of the most effective things that I've seen, and I'm sorry, Pastor, you get the answer also. One of the most effective things that I've seen is people doing these audits. There are groups that go around, they carry weapons, they do different things to get the attention of the police officers. They go around headquarters, they shoot from a camera, they walk up and down the street, they look suspicious, but guess what? They're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they get the interaction from the police officers. And then that's when they tell them, you're being audited. I'm going to see how you handle this situation. One of the guys was like, hey, man, I'm locking you up because you're outside taking pictures. You look suspicious. How do I look suspicious taking pictures? But Pastor, to answer the question, do you see positive, negative?
Yeah, I think it's positive. I mean, when I declared that I had a firearm, I mean, his whole demeanor, everything just changed.
Yeah,
it was almost more like he respected me more.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, because he probably even, I mean, I'm guessing, but he most likely he knew I had a firearm legally, instead of illegally because I have a handgun license. Mm-hmm. So I saw more as positive, but still, I was gonna keep my hands,
keep your hands high. Hey, and if you just tuned in, you're listening to the world famous Man Lounge on Power214.com, and we're sitting here talking about the community relations in Dallas-Fort Worth, community and police relationships. With Carvel Bowens, our activist, that dude, Pastor Derek Jacobs from the Village United Methodist Church, and our comedian Derek Jack, long-time Man Lounge member. Let's get into the actual case, man.
Amber Geiger.
Go ahead, that dude.
I do have something that I want to put out there, and I'm going to address it to you first, but I want to put it out to the whole group. So, given the tendency historically how blacks have received harsher sentences than their white counterparts, do you guys feel that the sentencing of Amber Geiger was just? And how did it make you feel to know that she only got 10 years? Because me personally, I think had the roles been reversed and had Amber Geiger been black and both of them been white, I think it would have been a lot longer than 10 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know if anybody else wants to address it first or anything.
I mean, my thing, I honestly felt like that what they did was they had to gave her that 10 years to pacify black people.
That's how I feel.
Like I honestly felt like they know. I mean, like, number one, that's not fair. I know there was a black dude that shot a police dog. He got 45 years. It was a dog. Yeah. She went up in this dude's house and killed him. She got 10 years. I felt like they threw that 10 years to the black people. Let's pacify them. Let's keep them quiet so they don't riot.
Yeah. But my question because who is they? Because the jury was more than half black. The judge was black.
I'm talking about system. I'm talking about system in general, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the system.
They used the formula, and the formula was done by the jury. So who is the one that's passed?
But I mean, regardless, if you have a system already set up. It doesn't matter who you have there. Everybody else is just pawns. I've already got the outcome because I know what it's going to be regardless.
Exactly.
You have a system that's set up. It's designed for them to. She walked up in tell me in the world, how in the world can people you innocently kill a person and while he's dead you slander him and make him look like he was a criminal?
That's the police association.
The police association, the attorneys, they did a great job in making her the victim.
That's what I'm saying. And so
nothing more polarizing than a crying white woman in America.
Right. And so you got to look at this, man, that they talk about all the, the way people respond is, well, yeah, they got killed, but they was doing crime. Okay. All right, let's go. We can go all the way back to all the men and women that were murdered. none of their crimes equaled to punishable by death.
Exactly.
None of these crimes are equal to that. These were misdemeanors, or even if they were felonies, there's 2 or 3 years. But none of them said, "Oh, if you get caught selling CDs and you ain't got a license for it, we get to choke you and kill you." That's what your death should be, and you should be punished even after you're dead. We're gonna slander your name. Come on, man.